Okay, so can organized religion fix our broken society? Right?
That's a big one.
Yeah,
Brilliant one.
yeah. So there's a couple of things there. So when I talk about man-made ideas, I would say one of them is atheism, right? The prophet of atheism would be Dawkins, for example. It's an idea they came up with, right? And it's not particularly logical idea, coming back to the probability, just simple probabilities. Okay, for God, we know that it takes a designer, it takes intelligence to make things, and the mathematical probability of God not existing is pretty much impossible. Even, I just like to give the example of one thing that Dawkins accepts, by the way, okay, which is the mathematical probability of a single hemoglobin molecule being made. It's so complicated. We think blood, oh, it's just a bit of watery fluids going around our bodies. It's incredibly complex, right? And for just a single hemoglobin molecule to be made, if it was evolving once every nanosecond, since the beginning of the universe, there would not be enough time. That's how complex it is. And this is something Dawkins accepts. I could go to chlorophyll, I could go to loads of other things. That's just one example. And I think people misunderstand how complex we are, because we just work so nicely, right? If we kept breaking down, and we needed to be fixed all the time, we'd actually appreciate how complicated we are a bit more, but we kind of underestimate that. And strangely, in this age of science, somehow we, despite knowing all these facts, we don't know these facts, or the public don't know these facts. Okay, so there's this kind of thing like organized religion, so there's man-made ideas, right? There's that, as well as corrupted religion, which is again a man-made idea. And what I'm going to say is that we've done quite a few experiments. Our experiment is basically materialism and rejecting God. And where has it led us? In short, and this is another fact that psychologists know throughout the board, even including atheist psychologists, they'll say religion makes us happier. It's good for us. If you can YouTube it, I'm glad you're smiling. I'm glad you're smiling, right? Because this is actually common knowledge to psychologists, and we could break that down why that is, right? I'm glad loads of people, because as soon as you go on YouTube and say psychology benefits of religion, does it make you happier? This is commonly accepted, so we can YouTube it, right? Which is why I love to. So in short, we need it. We've done an experiment without religion, and society is breaking down. If it was for religion, society would be better. Any thoughts?
Well, again, I'm speaking from a Christian society, and we've, in the West, have thousands of years of Christianity, and throughout thousands of years of Christianity, we've just had poverty, genocide, crusades, recession, pollution, repression, slavery, and can you think of anything else? But I'm sure there's
a lot of bad things.
That's enough, no?
I think there's many more things that crusades, poverty of education, poverty of social structures, denying community to grow stronger here in the West, and that's all because Christianity has fundamentally decided that any human being growing or any community growing is the threat to its existence. So
I agree with you. So what I said, there are two man-made ideas. One was atheism and one was corrupted religion. Okay, you can join if you want, but we've got a camera here. Okay, so for example, have you ever heard that Jesus said, if somebody slaps you on one side, you offer the other cheek, right? Now, how would the Crusades work if they went over to Arab countries to rob them and said, we're here for a war, and then the Arabs or the Muslims hit them on one cheek, they'd have to offer the other cheek. How would that war work if they listened to Jesus? That's not Christianity, is it?
I'm not a Christian, I don't know.
No, but you get the idea. So, yeah.
Is it a metaphorical
No. It's supposed to be literal. Literal. So that was the idea. Exactly. So what I'm saying is that's not a religion. Religion is a really precise thing. It's a here are the rules. You should do it. Right now, if people ignore the rules, then you can't blame religion. For example, if I said, Charles, go that way to the coffee shop, and you walk that way, you can't blame me for getting lost. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Fair enough, right? So I'm saying religion does a lot of things. The psychologists break this down. One thing, it gives you community. It's desperately missing. Now, you would think that religious rules are really simple. Be nice to your neighbour. But guess what's happening in London? A completely packed, population. Somehow, we're lonely despite being surrounded by millions of people. How is that possible? It's amazing that without religion, despite it being really easy to communicate, we don't. Because, well, religion makes it really easy, and I could break that down why. But let me just go on. I feel like I want to keep going.
Yeah, the psychological reference paper that you're referring to is in itself a paradox, because we don't live in the religious society that you describe. Therefore, you referring to a paper that describes a religious society makes people come close together doesn't exist. I mean, it just does not exist. So that paper is...
It's not one paper. This is like lots of information put together.
It is not that many papers, and the paper itself, I believe, is being conducted in a certain bias, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the earlier talk, is that the universities in the West are Christian religious universities. So yes, they do produce independent and brilliant papers, but also they do produce nonsense. Like just recently in Oxbridge, talking about slavery, and he gave this gentleman, I can't remember his name, but just it's in today's paper, gave a scientific analysis of slavery from Oxbridge and how they've been involved in it. He's now been fired, ridiculed, abused, called this and that, because all he did was describe from the references. So unfortunately, psychology isn't biased, is biased, and science is biased. So we do have to be extremely careful. But as again, we've never, in the religion that you're describing, has never existed.
Okay, so what we're talking about, just to give you an idea, and I'll let Charles jump in, we're talking about statistics. We can see levels of depression going up, and as churches, I'm not Christian, I'm a Muslim, right? So even I support people following any religion properly because of benefits, and that's actually part of Islam. Yeah, okay, yeah. To support other religions is part of Islam. It's a very odd religion in that sense, right? Okay, and so as the congregation of churches are going down, depression is going up. It's just statistics, and we kind of know that. That's our experience. If you look at London, how many people go to church now? Next to nobody, right? And how much is depression going up? How much is loneliness going up? Is loneliness that statistic? Is that a fake statistic?
Of depression due to not going to church.
I mean, okay, you could say, is that the cause? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right? So, well, let's just think about it logically. Why are people feeling lonely? Because we don't have a system to get people together on a regular basis. I'm trying to do public tea parties, right? And slowly trying to get people to be free to communicate. It's really hard. If there was a system where everybody knew, oh, you know what, we've got to get together this Sunday, this Friday. I went to a synagogue yesterday, right? Or day before yesterday, right? And I really valued how it brought community and kids and everybody together. I value that, and I do think there is a link between getting together and being less lonely. An organised system. By the way, it's really weird that people hate organised religion. Like we like organised companies.
Yeah.
And why do we hate organised religion if it can organise people for something good? I think we shouldn't have a blanket hate of something that could be really good in organising good things.
Yeah, so organised religion, so what tribe you come from that you're going to align to, no? So am I going to go to a Jewish synagogue when I'm not Jewish? it's London is a big place, population's overspilled, the communities are fractured.
That's a shame, and that's the great thing about Islam. It says, I don't care which religion you're from, I'm on your side. I'm on side humanity.
Are you sure?
Okay, literally in the Quran, we're going to record this, right? It's recorded, so people can fact check this, right? Literally in the Quran, it says, if you die protecting a church or a synagogue, and then it puts last on the list a mosque, you are a martyr. So you can fact check this. I'll put it in the description of the video. So that's an amazing thing, right? So that's how you can unfracture fractured or broken society. That's one thing. And just back to this idea of it being a theoretical idea that these religious societies don't exist. Even if you go to these Muslim countries where a lot of Islam has faded, they still have, and I don't like to say Muslim countries, because if I go to the Middle East like Jordan, right, there's actually different religions, Christianity, Islam, and that's the source of these religions, like Jesus in the Middle East, right, he's a Middle Eastern, you could call it, not an Arab, but anyway, but the point is, they know the basis of religion is that we're all brothers and sisters, we're all children of God. Right, and they don't have that separation. And when I go out at midnight in a park, there's grandmothers, there's little children, and they're all playing with each other because they have that fundamental understanding of that we're all children of God. Over here, and this is what Nietzsche, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, he said, even though he was an atheist, he predicted the death of God. Okay, wait, because he wrote a book called, I think, Death of God or something.
He wrote a story.
Yeah.
And he referenced in that story the concept of the death of God, but was he really referring to the death of God as in what most people use his reference from? No, I don't think so.
Sure.
I think because people just take that little sliver out of the actual story rather than the rest of the story, which is a dangerous thing to do.
Sure.
So it is important to read. Yes, he did say that, but you've got to read the whole story to get the whole picture. Because Nietzsche wasn't just saying that.
Sure, but he was saying basically the idea that we need to believe in God was illogical and we could do away with it. Would you agree with that?
No, I would not. But I just want to get back to the some points you brought up. I think religion, helping a broken society. I think if more religious people were like you, then I would agree with that statement to be true. But I think this park demonstrates what people think religion is, and what people think religion is a combative and saying whose God is better and who's superior, and how I can now justify my murderous act of your family. So unfortunately, religion tends to, and you definitely don't fall into that category, but unfortunately, it has been hijacked as a tool to not communicate and transmit your love for God, but instead just to fuel and explode your hatred on the world.
I can't say that in a better way. That's excellent. Absolutely combative. My God's better than yours. Let's fight about that. Where's the humanitarian side of things?
And the funny thing is, we were talking about this in a way. We were saying, if we were being nasty to each other right now, rather than being understanding of each other, we would get loads more views. So when you say that that's what this place is about, unfortunately, to get the views, so it's going to be the 1% who are really hateful of each other, they get all the attention. So I don't think it's representative of reality. It's just unfortunate that that's how social media works. We are tribal, and we like to hate one group against the other, unfortunately, and we've got to work on that.
I do think Speaker's Corner does represent the larger world relationship with religion. I think this is a great example of how countries work, how communities work. It's a microcosm that transmits to a bigger thing. You see, we talked about broken society in our great talk we had last week, which you should go and watch, by the way. And we agreed on how schools should function. That's how we mend a broken society. We agree on how schools function, what role government should have, which we didn't talk about too much, but we can bring that in hopefully another day. But that's how a society is unbroken, by the conversation that we had last week. That was the great moment of two different people, two different ideas, two different communities deciding, communicating, and we literally have become, you and me became architects in that moment. And we had already started building how a community, but literally. So last week's video was very good. So how to break the society. We just can't let poverty be used as a weapon anymore.
Well, that's going to be the next topic in a second. But I want you to have the last word, because I was just saying something, but I'm not sure if you heard what I said, which is, I don't think religion is about hating and my God is better than your God. It's just that's what you get to hear, because that's what gets popular on YouTube. This talk is not going to be that popular as the ones where somebody's hating on somebody else. They're going to get 1 million views for hating on somebody, and we're going to get like 10 views, or hopefully more, right, for being nice and talking about what religion actually teaches.
I totally understand. It's because it's entertainment. Seeing people fight raises your adrenaline. What's going to happen? You're going to get more views.
But do you get that that's not representing religion? It's just representing what gets popular.
I totally understand. It's been bastardized. So what can we do? What can we do as humanitarians? Because we're nice. Atheists, you don't see atheists in the park fighting each other.
Yeah, you kind of do. You get a bit of every, but you don't.
I've never seen atheists fighting each other.
We're regulars in this park. But our media, people like you and me. You said social media, but it refers to the media like the BBC as well. They do what comes the most. They are representative of this park. They don't do what we do now. What they do is Daily Mail, the Sun,
sensationalising things. Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch. They do what happens here in this park, which is they focus on the worst of humanity, and they get the views from that. So it's not just social media; it is the media. Full stop. The media won't do this, what we're doing, because it means unity. Unity, what a great word. But you don't get the views.
But I want to just say, right, just to finish that last one off, right, it's just that we have to take responsibility. Like, I'm telling you right now, that's not religion. But I want you to go, oh, okay, I will check up the references, if I can give you the references, and you go, oh, okay, religion isn't that, I've just been told the wrong stuff. And if we take responsibility to say, hang on a minute, that is not religion, then we move forward.
It's too far gone.
We can't give up.
It's too far gone. You've had 1400 years to sort this out. Christianity had thousands of years, still haven't sorted it out, still fighting.
Okay, I would say atheism is messing up big time as well. If you think about who's killed the most people, okay, it would be atheism. Just statistically, Chairman Mao, most people ever killed genocide, but he was an atheist.
I don't think we should be getting into I don't think we should be descending into who's better or not. I don't think that's what he meant by it. Maybe he didn't mean to phrase it like that. Maybe because it's not. We don't own our religions. Our religions are owned by the rich, and they don't listen to people like you or me. It doesn't matter if you're atheist, Muslim, Jewish, Christian. If you bring the message that you bring and the humanity that you bring, it's the humanity that is front and center. And you enclose that in the Muslim religion. I enclose that in just the word humanity. I need no more than humanity to drive my inner self to function as and communicate as a human being and design a world accordingly. So I think your statement was slightly wrong. I'm not sure if you actually meant it that way, but you can confirm.
Yeah, I think religion is divisive. I don't think atheism is divisive. Well, what I've seen so far, all atheists don't agree on the same thing. There is no book of atheism, but think the discourse seems to be a bit more, analytical.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to move on to the next thing. I like